Good evening, or rather, good morning. Ooh, it's pretty late. Okay, you're getting a really late night, early morning, whatever you want to call it, daily mitzvah dose coming your way here. And after many days, over 10 days, of staying within the mitzvah of Shabbos, and the Rambam, it's a massive chunk. It just shows you just how complex and how vast the laws of Shabbos are, how to keep Shabbos. But we are finally ready to keep on trucking through the Jewish calendar. That's the book we are in right now of the Rambam. We're in the book of times, book of Zmanim, which goes through everything that has to do with times in Judaism. And we did Shabbos. Now we're ready to begin the holidays, the Yom Tov cycle. And from Shabbos, we go straight to Yom Kippur, and you'll see why in a moment. Or I guess it's because it's thematically, it connects. And talking about Yom Kippur, here we go. We have 4 mitzvahs. And as you're going to see, it's really 2 ideas, but each of these ideas are presented both in the positive form and in the negative form. So each of these things have 2 mitzvahs. Okay, so let us begin. The first mitzvah about Yom Kippur, the 10th day of the month of Tishrei, the holy day of Yom Kippur, is that it's a mitzvah to rest on this day, and we should rest from doing all work and all labor, just like on Shabbos. As the verse says, the pasuk says, Shabbos Shabbosin hilachem. It should be a Shabbos of all Shabbosins, a Shabbos of all Shabbosim. It should be for you. So just like on Shabbos you rest, and the word Shabbos literally means rest. It's the rest of all rests. We have to not work on this day, and it's a positive mitzvah to not work. And from there we come to the next mitzvah, which is the prohibition form of this mitzvah, that it is forbidden to do work on this day. That's the second mitzvah. As the pasuk says, "V'chol malacha leisasron," you shall not do any work. So if you rest on Yom Kippur, you are fulfilling 2 mitzvahs: the mitzvah to rest and the mitzvah to not work. And if you violate this mitzvah and you do work on Yom Kippur, then you also are violating 2 mitzvahs: the positive mitzvah to rest and the prohibition to not work. Okay, moving right along to our third mitzvah for today, that there is a positive mitzvah to fast on Yom Kippur, the 10th of Tishrei, as the Torah says, continuing that verse, Te'anu es nafshei seichem, and you shall afflict your soul. Okay, how do you get from afflicting your soul to fasting? So our sages show us the connection. It says, afflict your souls, which means that on Yom Kippur you should do a form of affliction which compromises the health of the soul. And what is it that compromises the health of the soul? It's eating and drinking. Because when we eat and drink, we are sustaining our soul, and we are fortifying the bond between body and soul. When you don't eat, you compromise that relationship. Okay, that is the biblical mitzvah. But the Rambam adds that our sages added that included in this mitzvah. It's not. This is still biblical, but it's not explicit in the Torah. But comes our tradition, the oral tradition, and says included in this mitzvah are 4 other prohibitions, which all have to do with this same idea of afflicting yourself on Yom Kippur. It is forbidden to wash yourself, any type of washing which is pleasurable. You're not allowed to do on Yom Kippur. So if your hands got dirty and you need to wash yourself, okay, that's not called pleasurable washing. But any type of washing the hands or the body or any part of the body to bring pleasure or freshness, that is prohibited. And you're not allowed to apply ointments or lotions onto your body. You're not allowed to wear leather shoes or leather sandals. And you are not allowed to engage in marital intimacy on Yom Kippur. Okay, where do we get this from? Very interesting little idea. Because the verse says, Shabbos Shabbosin hilachem v'inisem es nafshei seichem. So listen to this. Very interesting way how the sages see this in the verse. It's a Shabbos of all Shabbosim. It should be for you. And you shall afflict your souls. So number one, our sages say, look, it says the word Shabbos twice. So one time Shabbos, and Shabbos literally means rest. So the first time the verse says Shabbos, it means rest from all activity. Second time the verse says Shabbos, it says, and rest for additional stuff. Cease from doing additional special stuff that we don't do in Yom Kippur, which is should you do? What should be the second Shabbos? What should be the second season of activity? That's what the rest of the verse is saying. Stop doing things that strengthen the soul and the bond between body and soul. Rather, you shall do things or not do things that compromise the health of the body. And that's where you have in this verse those 5 things. And finally, the 4th mitzvah for today, which is the prohibitive form of that mitzvah. The previous mitzvah was there's a mitzvah to fast. And this next mitzvah is, and it is prohibited, it is forbidden to eat anything on Yom Kippur. And the Rambam concludes here on a technical note that it's actually interesting that this 4th mitzvah, which is biblical, but there's no verse in the Torah that tells you that it's prohibited to eat on Yom Kippur. And so then where's the Rambam get that this is one of the 613 mitzvahs? Because all you have, says the Rambam, is a verse telling you that there's a punishment if you eat on Yom Kippur. But that's not enough. According to the rules of how you count mitzvahs, there has to be an explicit verse telling you, do not do this. And then there could be an additional clause or an additional verse telling you, and here's the punishment if you do that. But over here, we don't have the actual words of the prohibition. You only have the verse telling you a punishment. So the Rambam proves to us that it still is counted as a mitzvah, but that's going to be maybe for next time around. That's on a more technical note. Dear friends, that is today's Daily Mitzvah, all about Yom Kippur. And we'll see you soon. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye-bye.